so I thought I would take two images, one where I exposed for my subject and one where I exposed more for the highlights, not totally, honestly, because I was scared, and see which is going to produce a better results, hopefully getting some detail in the sky. Basically, if you're looking for that light and airy look, what's better, underexposing it or overexposing it? I haven't done anything to these. These are just straight out of camera. They were taken with the R5, and yes, the dynamic range and sensor does play a part in this. So keep that in mind, that my results might not mimic your results depending on what camera you have. I am going to scroll through these, and I will probably just put my typical preset on here, which is none of these that you're looking at right now. I always use this joyfully simple one right here. So I'm just gonna hit that, and let's warm up the white balance a little bit. Just basically do the things I would do to it anyway. And I think we could use a little more contrast, maybe a little bit more blacks, maybe just do it in the tone curve. I don't know. This is a problem. This right here is a problem with photographers. We sit and edit for too much. Okay, all right, but probably something around there. I think that probably has to go back. I think that's where it went wrong. All right, so let's do that. Okay, so one thing that we could do right off the bat, we could take our highlights and bring them way down, and there is a little bit of detail here. Let's bring those back up. I think the way I would do it is, let's just go ahead into the local adjustment brush and save highlights as a preset that I have here. I'm just going to roughly paint in. There we go. And that did like nothing. So let's lower that all the way. And I'll hit new and basically do the exact same thing again. And I'm not really seeing a huge difference. My flow is all the way up. All right, so if I bring down the actual exposure, maybe we'll do it this way, bring down the whites. I don't know, this is not giving me warm and fuzzy feelings, that's for sure. And obviously I'm rushing it around them. But truthfully, if you're doing sessions like this, the last thing you have time for is to sit here and edit. So, okay, so this is about as far as we got. Let's give a little bit benefit of the doubt. And I am gonna come in here, see if I like to warm it down, blue it, no. Okay, so something like that. This is just not a good idea, because once you blow out the highlights, you're kind of just screwed. So let's go to option number 2 here. I definitely want to take that out in post, and I don't like how close the horizon line is to her head, but that doesn't matter, it's not what we're doing. Okay, let's just apply the exact same preset, my joyfully simple. I could apply my light and airy, and that practically solves all the problems. So, well, I'm just gonna do the light and airy. Okay, so we'll start there, and let's take a look at the highlights. It did bring them up, but maybe I want to bring them down. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into this preset, but you know what? I don't like that one. You wanna know why? Because see the yellow here? It's bringing in too much yellow in the highlights, and I don't want that. So you know what? Right up here on top, this helps control that. So I'm just gonna bring that all the way down. Okay, and now I'm gonna go into the save highlights, same thing, and just paint it in here. And so far, this is looking like a better option. Now, one of the reasons why you may not want to do this is when you bring up the shadows. Let's just go ahead and zoom in on some shadows here. When you bring them up, and this was shot at 320, but if I'm looking at some of the shadow detail here, I am seeing some noise. Whenever you bring highlights up, you are introducing a bit of noise, but it's not the end of the world. So let me go down to my noise reduction, maybe take some of that detail out, maybe just sharpen up my edges a little bit. Okay, that was probably a little too much. That's not so bad. It smoothed it out, actually probably too much. So let's bring that down. All right, okay, so here we are. Another option, by the way, would be to go into your gradient filter here. And I do have one that's called Blue Sky, and you can just dial that in. And now I've created the blue sky. I mean, you could do it to your heart's content. Maybe you want the gradient to be right here. I don't know. I think that kills the aesthetic. So maybe I go warm sky, and then I do that, and then I bring down the highlights again and the whites, because I accidentally brought those back up. But see, if I go too far, there's no real detail here either, because I did blow that out a little bit for fear of all that noise that might come in with there. I don't know. You tell me in the comments. I decided to make this video real quick. I just shot this photo like an hour ago. Not even. Do we like the blue sky? No, let's just give it a regular color, since that will help us compare. So let's just look at these two photos side by side. What did a better job? Oops, bang the mic. What did a better job? What do you think? The photo on the left, where I exposed for them, then blew up the sky and tried to bring it back. And again, rough edit, so just for the point of it, or the photo on the right, where I exposed for, you know, the sky more, so I didn't blow out the highlights nearly as much, and I brought up my shadows. And just for S&G, let's go ahead to our before and afters, just so you can see where it's before and after with this photo, and then before and after with this one. I have to say, my vote is definitely underexposed, or as people say, exposed for the highlights. That way you've got them there, and then you can always bring up the shadows. Again, this is definitely going to make a difference. It's going to be different depending on what camera you're shooting with the sensor, the dynamic range, you know, exactly how bright is the background. This was a cloudy day. There was no direct sun of any kind because it was behind the clouds. So there wasn't a huge difference between the background and the foreground. There was a little bit, but not as drastic as it could be. So there are a lot of other factors that go into it, but I hope you enjoyed this experiment. A little bit of editing. Hit, you know, like, follow, subscribe, and tell me what you think below. Bye.